Hello everyone, I'm Hammy, I'm the Hammy Dressmaker. So, I don't know about you, but I've been loving everyone's Friday Sews vlogs. I've really wanted to join in, but I've not organised enough for that. So I thought I would do a kind of sew and chat with me. So I'm currently working on my printer pattern, kind of test, and it's going to take me a little while to line up the stripes. So I thought it was kind of a good kind of exercise to do while I have a little chat with you. So I've had some really lovely correspondence with one of you, and this person, who I know wants to stay anonymous, they're not very keen on social media, something that, believe it or not, I completely agree with, sent me a little gift of a cheque, which is very nice. Thank you very much. Teared up a little bit. It came on exactly the right day. So to kind of explain some of the conversation and why I've kind of taken this kind of, I better start my project, haven't I? Why I kind of decided to kind of do this video was, on this particular day I was a little upset and a little frustrated. And before I start saying what I'm frustrated about, please know that I do acknowledge this is the height of first world problems, but every time I post a video, my subscriber numbers go down, and so do my viewing figures. So on this particular day, I was kind of looking over kind of video and I was like, I think I might give this up, because clearly I'm kind of making a bit of a tit out of myself. And you know, and I don't want to be an annoyance, if you like. But anyway, so this particular person went through quite a lot of hassle actually to get in contact with me. They went through an intermediary to send me an email, and it was really lovely. So anyway, on this kind of email correspondence, I kind of said that, you know, like I said, you know, I feel like I'm being making a bit of a tit of myself, and you know, this email kind of means a lot. One of the comments she kind of came back and said is she didn't really understand when us guys on the YouTube say how long, you know, how much work one of these videos kind of takes, what that actually means. And then we started discussing, effectively, she gave me some really good feedback, not just on myself, but kind of her thoughts as a viewer on these kind of community channels, what she enjoys and what annoys her, many of which kind of marry up with my thoughts as well. However, also being on the other side now, if you like, the dark side, I've come to appreciate and understand why some of these things kind of take place now. So I thought it would be a really kind of good chat. I'm sorry if it's a little rambly, but like I say, I'm trying to do two things at once, and I'm not a typical woman where I can multitask. I might have to abandon the sewing and just talk to you, but we'll see. So she said a really lovely feedback, the fact that she found this channel kind of refreshing and honest, and the fact I wasn't doing everything that everyone else is doing, namely the same patterns all at the same time, and the fact that my ring lights were a good investment, good to know. And effectively keep doing what I'm doing, keep having fun, and keep going. Really good advice. But I think in terms of the comments on kind of bloggers and all of us doing the same thing at the same time, I'm quite critical sometimes of what I would call the blogger network. I.e., if I say the blogger network to you, you know which company I'm talking about. Now, there's nothing wrong with this company. I bought off them many times, and in fact, this week, didn't quite get what I wanted. But all in all, I think their website is pretty damn fantastic. and the fact why so many YouTube vloggers kind of pair up with this company, because eventually it does start to feel like a bit of advertisement, because it is. Now, if I sat here and said to you that I have never been tempted to try and join that network, I'd be lying. What's the harm in getting some free material which enables you to produce content for a video for the sake of name dropping a company that you already like? There isn't any harm in that, is there? Except when it's a wall of it. Then it feels a little pushy. So I don't know about you, but I kind of switch off when somebody starts talking about the blogger network. What I do tend to find really interesting is when other vloggers find good materials from smaller companies, and those are the ones I'm more likely to check out. So in terms of kind of the economics behind a YouTube video, what you're seeing for 15 minutes, kind of editing Gemma, who may or may not add gifts to this, it depends if I'm inspired or not. Even if I don't do gifts, it's probably going to be 6 to 8 hours work to do a 15-minute video. That sounds like it's a lot, and it is. That could be just the fact I'm a bit piss poor at editing. It could be the fact that I'm overthinking it. I don't think so though, because I look at my videos and go, oh, that's badly edited. The gifs and the other memes and stuff I flick in, they don't take long. It's everything where, you know, like I've just touched the bridge of my nose, I might touch my nose, my face, I might go like that. So I'm trying to kind of cut those sort of things out and trying to do it so you get it on the frame, where you don't interrupt what you're actually talking about before you do this kind of unconscious action. That's a bit of an art form, and it's not necessarily always easy. In terms of my setup, my setup is pretty damn basic. I have an iPhone, and I've put it on kind of maximum pixelation kind of value. When I put it over to my computer actually can't cope with that. So then I have to somehow get the video onto the computer, which is more work than what it should be. I then have to convert the video into a format that iMovie recognises, because again, format and pixelization, and you do lose kind of pixelization when you send a video across. And then I start the lovely work of actually trying to piece something together. And sometimes what you may not realise if I've done a good job is sometimes I ramble a bit, so I'll kind of cut and paste things into relevant sections so the flow is a bit better. So that's kind of like the workload. Now, I've started to think of this as a second job, a very poorly paid second job. But the community and you guys, even though, you know, the fact I'm bemoaning my, you know, subscriber levels, I say first world problems, but you guys have really kind of embraced me and really made me feel quite welcome, and that's been absolutely lovely. And sometimes you have sent me fabric and money, and, you know, not hundreds of you of course, but something. It's a side thing that I never thought would be a benefit of doing this. But talking of which, about it being a job, for some of these bloggers, it is their job. It may be a primary or secondary avenue of income for them. One of the things that many years ago I considered setting up one of these kind of channels for was to hopefully get monetized. So it was like a self-funding hobby. You know, I put a video up, get 50 quid, that needs multiply, another 50 quid, another pattern, etc. I've kind of abandoned that idea because I found I don't need to do that. I just need to shop around carefully and preserve kind of my resources. coming to the end of this thing. Why? Don't do these videos. Attach it to the wrong side. Okay, never mind, let's start again. Oh god, I'm an idiot. Oh well, never mind. Truth and honesty. That's me. God in grief. Right, let's start unpinning. Right. So as I say, it might be a primary or secondary avenue of income, which means there needs to be a bit of a thought process in terms of how you can preserve your monetary resources. And these blogger networks are an excellent way of doing that. I've in fact had many friends, both YouTube people and non-YouTube people, who are part of that network and absolutely love it. And in one particular case, she wouldn't be able to afford to sew without being on that blogger network. So I can't really judge anyone for that, and I don't. For the sake of, I say, doing a bit of a name drop, you get an awful lot kind of from that. Also, this hobby is quite expensive, and when I say this hobby, I'm talking about this, YouTube. What do you mean by that, Gemma? Well, in fact, I might as well introduce myself. I just slipped up and called you my real name. My real name is Gemma. Hello. I'll explain the whole hammy thing another time. Anywho, so if you are a sewing, vlogger, then this has to be probably the biggest passion in your life. You sew a lot. Every time you make something, and you know yourself at home, it costs you money. If you're producing regular content, where you're not just producing a t-shirt every 2 weeks, that's quite a lot of investment in terms of time and pattern and resources, isn't it? What am I doing? That's where I went wrong. You can't get any more real than this guy seeing me F up. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay, so let's address kind of, I think, a fair criticism, which is everybody doing the same patterns at the same time. In the sewing community, we often are very self-congratulatory on the fact that we've removed ourselves from fast fashion, and we are removing at least part of the slave, the clothing slave trade process away from these big companies. However, if you get swept up in buying the latest pattern, it's kind of the same thought process, isn't it? I'm not immune to that. I will admit, there's certain patterns that I salivate over and I buy because everyone else is making. Just because you haven't seen it on the channel yet doesn't mean I don't do it. One of the differences, one of the things that I kind of have learned is I don't buy patterns when they're hot. Why? Because the indie patterns, which is mainly what we're talking about here, very few people kind of go gaga over a big 4 pattern. There may be ones that kind of break through and are quite popular, but mostly it's the indie patterns that we all go gaga over, and I mainly sew with indie. However, what I found kind of is that I've got enough resources. Like I've said before, I've got enough patterns. I'm interested in learning how to draft as well. I may share those misadventures with you at some point. And I want to start to be able to pattern hack, because effectively, with a bit of knowledge, in my cupboard right now, I've got any dress, any jumper, any pair of trousers I could have ever possibly want. So I say, when the pattern of the moment kind of comes out and everyone kind of goes gaga over it, I deliberately turn off YouTube and Instagram, or I tune it out, should I say, and allow myself a couple of months for the furore to kind of die down, and then I'll look at the pattern again and I decide if I think it's worth the investment. Why do I do that? Well, I'll give you a good example of this. So, do you remember when the Zadie jumpsuit was the it thing? I suppose it still is. It's still very popular. The number of times I nearly clicked buy was untrue. But then I waited a little while and I saw a comment from, I hope I say her name correctly, Frugalissima or Sam. And one thing she said is that, you know, the opening mechanism in the jumpsuit was a zip around the back, something that I didn't actually twig when I was looking at the line drawings, and how difficult it would be to get in and out of the toilet. And then instantaneously I was like, it was a good call that I didn't buy that pattern, because that would have drove me nuts. There's one pattern at the moment that I am considering buying, which is the Adrienne blouse. That's the jersey pattern with the big poofy sleeves. The only reason why I haven't bought it yet, let's look. I've done the same thing again. I might have done the same thing again. No, I avoided the trap. Okay, that's cool. I know my sleeve does seem to have gone a bit skew with. Yeah. Don't ever follow me, guys. I'm a bit useless. What was I saying? So anyway, yeah, everyone gets kind of caught up in the kind of pattern of the moment. I don't mind that, because if it is a pattern that I really want to buy, I want to see people try it out and pattern hack and basically just have, you know, some fun with it, because that informs my kind of thought process. I just don't want to necessarily see it all at once. But one of the joys of kind of doing vlogging is very often sewing is a solitary activity, and when you're doing these vlogging, you suddenly gain friends. You suddenly gain people that are just as nuts about fabric and these sort of things than you are. Alright, I'm going to abandon that because it's clearly not working. So it's very easy to kind of follow along with your friends, with the community, and do kind of the pattern of the moment. There is a challenge that's coming up, which I think is going to be really interesting. I've put my name down for it, where it's kind of the exact opposite of that sort of mindset. And I think you're going to get some really interesting vlogs that are coming out of that. I'm not going to reveal anything because it's not been officially announced. I know the people that are doing it behind the scenes are still kind of sorting out the details, but watch out for that in the next 6 weeks-ish. You'll get some really stuff coming through, which encourages variation. The truth is, there's a blog for everybody. You just have to look for it. Now, I'm part of the, I would call the younger crowd. So I would kind of belong to this kind of indie pattern kind of club, wouldn't I? But there's loads of vloggers out there who sew exclusively Big 4, that self-draft, that do all these things. You just have to find them. I think one of the reasons why we don't go gaga over Big 4 patterns is I think they're really badly marketed. They're really poorly size ranged as well, and they're pretty expensive for what they are. It's hard to get really excited about something where you have to remember a number. The 6164 by Vogue or whatever, I will never remember that. But what I am going to remember is Zadie, is Millie, are these kind of patterns that belong to the kind of indie pattern companies, where there's a kind of community around that pattern. Now, as I say, there's certain times where I switch it off, and anything involving Tilly and the Buttons I tend to switch off. I can't stand them. I wrote a dedicated blog basically ripping into Tilly and the Buttons rather a lot. So this is kind of my response to the lovely feedback that I've had, both in kind of defence of the criticism, but also I understand where you're coming from as well. Another reason is that people want to be ambassadors of this craft. It's not that long ago it was dying out, and for everybody that kind of joins and produces content, even if it's not your particular thing, it will be somebody else's, and it keeps this hobby keep going. It keeps our fabric shops keep going. It keeps pattern companies still in business, despite COVID. A load of people will no doubt in the last 12 months have discovered the joys of this craft because of lockdown. So what might have started off as following a mass tutorial has kind of turned into, this is cool, I want to do more of it. So there's loads of different reasons why people want to do these videos. For me, the reason is that I wasn't quite seeing the content that I wanted to see in a style that I wanted to see it, because like there's certain I'll tell you one of my influences actually. It was a lovely lady, I can't remember what her name is, but Stitch My Style. If you've never seen her videos, you'll definitely see a correlation between what I'm trying to do on these videos and what she does, which is give you really good sewing content, I hope, but with quite a large dash of humour. She doesn't do many videos anymore, but the videos that she has done I do re-watch because I find them fun and engaging, and full of good tips and knowledge and stuff. The other one that I used to really love, and again sadly she doesn't do many videos anymore, is Gabardashery, and that's really fun. But okay, so it's quite a bit later on than when I finished the last kind of portion of this video, and I said goodbye and blah blah blah, but I was kind of distracted by the fact I was having difficulty with my project. Then I've spent the last 2 hours trying to thread my overlocker. So don't follow me, guys. I'm completely useless. It's like, oh, I forgot to do that bit, that's why. Damn it. Anyway, there's a really important point that I forgot to mention for my end on the last bit, which is ultimately makers are going to make what they're passionate about. They're not necessarily making content for you to consume. It's not like a television show. I wouldn't like anyone to turn around to me and say, I find what you're doing is really boring, or you've made too many t-shirts, or you've made, or you're doing too much stuff in Jersey. What these guys are doing is sharing their passion for something that they're already passionate about, something that they hope you enjoy, but ultimately they're sewing for themselves and kind of letting you in a little window into their passion. I think that's all my points really. So in short, unless you're kind of the vlogger that you're watching kind of openly kind of says, please give me feedback on my content, if you're not enjoying it, don't tune in. They'll soon get the picture in a kind of non-aggressive way, if it's important to them when they start losing viewing figures, and if you unsubscribe, they'll soon get the kind of message that maybe their content isn't kind of ticking a box kind of anymore. Not that I encourage you to do that, because it's fairly heartbreaking every time you lose a subscriber. I can tell you from personal experience. This project is turning out to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Nothing to do with the actual pattern itself. It's a very simple pattern, and the truth in the pudding is actually when I put it on, see how it fits. But I've not really chosen the right fabric for it. It's been a lot of work kind of trying to pair up these stripes, and I'm not the most technical kind of sewer. I do like to just kind of run things through a machine, but this is teaching me good things. It's teaching me how to be patient, how to cut fabric in the right way, how to really think about the pattern placement of the pieces. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's certainly an improvement to when I first started sewing, where I didn't have a blooming clue. I would have been definitely one of those people. Have you seen those pyjamas where the little hand corner comes out the crotch? That definitely would have been me. If I was brave enough to spend the money to get a character fabric like Mario. So I hope that you guys are well, and I say this wasn't too rambly, and you continue to kind of tune in and say hi and comment, because it really does make a difference. And once I can hopefully finish this and give you a finished product, you'll see this project in a video soon. Oh, by the way, what I'm wearing a Nina Lee South Bank sweater, and this baby is a Prima pattern kimono, and the fabric was kindly given to me by actually somebody in my sewing group who didn't know what to do with it, and as soon as I saw it I was like, yay. And it was actually my first foray into trying to pattern match stripes. This is actually one of my, it's not posh, but it's my most worn make I've ever made. It's constantly kind of with me. If I go anywhere, it's in the suitcase. It's kind of like my cardigan of choice, so I definitely need to make another one of these if I can find the pattern again. I know I've definitely still got it. Okay, so it's quite a bit later on than when I finished the last kind of portion of this video, and I said goodbye and blah blah blah, but I was kind of distracted by the fact I was having difficulty with my project. Then I've spent the last 2 hours trying to thread my overlocker. So don't follow me, guys. I'm completely useless. It's like, oh, I forgot to do that bit, that's why. Damn it. Anyway, there's a really important point that I forgot to mention for my end on the last bit, which is ultimately makers are going to make what they're passionate about. They're not necessarily making content for you to consume. It's not like a television show. I wouldn't like anyone to turn around to me and say, I find what you're doing is really boring, or you've made too many t-shirts, or you've made, or you're doing too much stuff in Jersey. What these guys are doing is sharing their passion for something that they're already passionate about, something that they hope you enjoy, but ultimately they're selling for themselves and kind of letting you in a little window into their passion. I think that's all my points really. So in short, unless you're kind of the vlogger that you're watching kind of openly kind of says, please give me feedback on my content, if you're not enjoying it, don't tune in. They'll soon get the picture in a kind of non-aggressive way. If it's important to them, when they start losing viewing figures, and if you unsubscribe, they'll soon get a kind of message that maybe their content isn't kind of ticking a box kind of anymore. Not that I encourage you to do that, because it's fairly heartbreaking every time you lose a subscriber. I can tell you from personal experience. This project is turning out to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Nothing to do with the actual pattern itself. It's a very simple pattern, and the truth in the pudding is actually when I put it on, see how it fits. But I've not really chosen the right fabric for it. It's been a lot of work kind of trying to pair up these stripes, and I'm not the most technical kind of sewer. I do like to just kind of run things through a machine, but this is teaching me good things. It's teaching me how to be patient, how to cut fabric in the right way, how to really think about the pattern placement of the pieces. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's certainly an improvement to when I first started sewing, where I didn't have a blooming clue. I would have been definitely one of those people. Have you seen those pyjamas where the little hand corner comes out the crotch? That definitely would have been me. If I was brave enough to spend the money to get a character fabric like Mario. So I hope that you guys are well, and I say this wasn't too rambly, and you continue to kind of tune in and say hi and comment, because it really does make a difference. And once I can hopefully finish this and give you a finished product, you'll see this project in a video soon. Oh, by the way, what I'm wearing a Nina Lee South Bank sweater, and this baby is a Prima pattern kimono, and the fabric was kindly given to me by actually somebody in my sewing group who didn't know what to do with it, and as soon as I saw it I was like, yay. And it was actually my first foray into trying to pattern match stripes. This is actually one of my, it's not posh, but it's my most worn make I've ever made. It's constantly kind of with me. If I go anywhere, it's in the suitcase. It's kind of like my cardigan of choice, so I definitely need to make another one of these if I can find the pattern again. I know I've definitely still got it, but anyway, that's me for me. See you later, bye. And after all that trouble, check out my sexy, hopefully, yeah, sexy stripe matching